Hi, this is Kari from Consistently Creative Crew, and I am going to share how to do the Creative Memories Project Recipe Passport to Adventure digitally with FOREVER Artisan software. So this evening on Valentine's Day, we met on Zoom and assembled this layout traditionally, but we had one person who was doing it digitally. I also did it digitally, but I wanted to share how to take some of these instructions and do it and give you a few tips of doing this layout. So this is the sample layout that Creative Memories has for doing the project recipe. And if we take a look at the way this is set up, there are strips of paper at the top and the bottom, which are this one that has the white with the different colored circles on it or different colored dots. Those are pieces of paper. And then there's also this thing all the way on the left side and on the right side, which is that same piece of paper. Then there's these thin blue strips that they have that kind of form a frame. And the paper that is the yellow tonal paper is the background. So those are the base. So again, we've got the yellow background that's the base. We've got this patterned paper that are just rectangular pieces. And then we've got these three narrow strips on each side. And if we kind of look at this layout, the right page is almost a mirror image of the left page. The frame is the same. We've got three photos down the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we've got two photos and a journaling block. So it's almost the same thing. And on the left page, we've got one vertical photo. On the right page, we've got two horizontal photos. The other difference that happens is that because we've got horizontal photos on the right layout, you actually need to shift out this column of photos and journaling mat out a little bit. If you look at the two pages side by side, you can kind of see that on the left side, there's a little bit of space between the photo edges and the embellishment that they have here, which is a Creative Memories punch laid on top of a circle. But on the right-hand side, it's actually tucked underneath it. So they just had to bump them out just a little bit in order to fit the rectangles, these photos that are horizontal. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the left-hand side, then we're going to mirror image it, and then we're going to adjust it to make the right-hand side. So on the Creative Memories instruction sheet, which we posted on our Consistently Creative Croppers Facebook group, it's a file there, so you can take a look at it and download it and get the information. It has the photo sizes here, as well as the cutting guide for the three different pieces of paper. So I'm going to be kind of flipping back and forth between my screens in order to show what I'm cutting as we're going through this and doing it digitally. So I'm starting in Artisan, and I am going to just have a single page showing here. So I am going to put these two pieces that are going on the top and the bottom, which are labeled A and B in their cutting guide. And A and B are 1 1/4 inch by 10 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that shape. So 10 1/4 by 1 1/4. And I'm going to create that. And I'm not going to worry so much about the colors. So if you're struggling getting this placed, since it is 10 3/4, you know that if the X is 1.75, it will end up being right up in the right location. It will be right up at the edge, and your Y is 0. So I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to paste that. And I'm going to put that down at the bottom. Again, this is at 1.75. And here it's at 10.75, and it'll end up on the edge. Now I'm going to go back to my instructions, and I'm going to do this piece that's labeled E, which is 1 3/4 by 9 1/2. So this one, 1 3/4 by 9.5. And I'm going to click create. And since these were all the same, and there it gets lined up very nicely with the X being 0 and the Y being 1.25. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a shape that is 12 by 12 for the background in case as I'm doing the layout, I really want to change the opacity of it. So I'm going to make this as a fill of white, click create. I'm going to put it as 0, 0, and then I'm going to layer it just above my background. Okay, so then going back to my instruction sheet, I'm going to go ahead and do these little narrow strips. They're J, K, and L on this page. And here they're 1.5 inches by 12 inches. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to have 2 that are horizontal and 1 that's vertical. And I'm going to go ahead and fill this with a slightly different color of gray just so I can differentiate. So I'm going to put that there. And then again, I'm going to copy and paste. And I'm going to slide that down here. So now you have a couple of options of doing the vertical one. So if I take this and I copy and I paste it and I rotate it, you notice that the fill, the green handle here is now on the right-hand side. So if you fill it with a paper that has an orientation to it, it's not going to end up having the same orientation as these 2 horizontal strips, which may not really matter. But if you find that you do that by mistake, you can always go and flatten it. And then that handle will then be at the top. So then the orientation of any pattern that you have going on that will be the same on the 2 different sheets. So I lined that one up again right against the edge of the pieces that I had already put down there. And okay, I think that's the basis of the background. So now I can go ahead and look at doing my photo mats and my photos. So these first ones, which are on G, H, and S, are all 3.5 by 3.5. So again, I'm going to go back to the insert ribbon and insert a 3.5 by 3.5 inch shape. And I'm going to fill this with a slightly different shade, again, just to try to make it easier to know what I've got in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and put the photo in here. So it's an empty frame. This is going to be 3 by 3. And I'm going to go ahead and align these using the alignment with the horizontal center and the alignment with the vertical center. I'm going to go ahead and group these for right now. So I'm on the home ribbon, do grouping, just so that way I can copy and paste them and I can always ungroup them in a little bit. So I'm going to end up copying this and pasting it twice because I needed 2 of them. And I'm just going to kind of get them somewhat aligned. And then by selecting all 3, I can align and distribute vertically. So that's those 3. And then I'm going to align their centers up. Okay, so what do I have next? I have that vertical photo mat here. So R is 4.5 by 6.5 inches. So I can go ahead and insert a shape. That's 4.5 by 6.5 and create. And that photo was 4 by 6. And again, I can align these up with the vertical and horizontal. And we're almost done. The other thing that I can do is I can go ahead and create some of these circles here. The circle that is actually being cut out with the instructions here from Creative Memories is 1.5 inches in diameter. Depending on what embellishment you're using, you might end up changing that, but that's easy enough to do digitally. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and put in one that is 1.5 by 1.5. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in here, and I'm going to line it up so it's in the center. And then I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to line it up down here. So we're pretty well aligned. Okay. So now that I have this, I believe I have just about everything that I want. I'm going to go ahead and fill it with paper right now, so that way I can, when I'm mirror imaging it, I can do that. So if I'm looking at this paper, which might be something that I want to use, you notice there's words on it. So, but some of the words and numbers are going different directions. So that's probably still okay to use. But I think it might be a nice background paper here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select all of these narrow strips, and I think I'll fill it with these, and then I'm going to select these other strips and maybe fill it with that. All right. See what something else maybe looks like. Nice thing about digital is you have lots of options, right? Okay, I think I'm going to go with that for right now. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ungroup these, so that way I can actually just select the photo mats. And I'm not sure what I want to fill these with. That may not be good. Maybe and now it's waiting. Okay, I think that's good. And I think I'm going to fill these with the same thing. All right. So now I think I'm in pretty good shape to take this layout and mirror image it. So the easiest way to do that is to go to your panel, and I'm going to bring this down here so I don't have a whole bunch of other stuff. Go into your panel with your pages, and with the drop down arrow, you can insert a page, you can insert a pre-designed page, duplicate it, insert a mirror image, or remove it. So I'm going to do the mirror image. And when I do that, I'm going to actually end up flipping the pages as soon as it gets done, because if you look at my page panel here, they're not in the correct orientation. So I'm just going to drag and drop it and move it over to the other page. So now this is now my right-hand page. So let's go back and look at their sample. So the things again that are different is that they have 2 horizontal photos. So I'm going to go ahead and get those in there. So these are P and Q, which are 4x6s. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. So this, I'm just going to go up to the top and make it 4x6. And that's actually not right. It actually is horizontal, so it needs to be 6x4. And then this needs to be 5.5 by 3.5. And they're aligned. And I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste. And you notice when you paste, they're no longer aligned and centered like the originals. You could fix that by grouping them before you go ahead and do that. So now that I've put those 2 in here, I'm going to kind of align all the centers up. You can see that these 3 square photo mats on the side no longer have quite enough room. So I've just selected them all and brought them over here, and they're tucked under here. So basically, I have the layout done. There's a few other little things that we could actually do with this. So you notice all of their square images are tilted and rotated a little bit. So we can go ahead and I'll do that now. I think it was easier to kind of get the layout mostly assembled and to do the tilting at the end. And so that's that page. I'm going to go over to the other page and do rotate them a little bit. They also had this shape over here of this one. That aligned. And depending on what you're using, you can always put a sticker or something else in there. I think for right now, maybe I'll just, I'm going to put this compass on. So by holding down my shift key, I can actually keep the aspect ratio locked. So I'm going to do that. And then, so here I'm going to copy and paste. I guess I could have done that before I even mirror imaged it also, and then I wouldn't have to add them in now. So that would have been another time-saving step. Should have thought of that earlier. But maybe I should have this one be something different. So maybe I'll do this instead. I think I'm going to rotate this. I think it looks pretty centered. So right, and then the other page, I'll add that. I don't think I still have, oh, I do still have it in my buffer. Okay, good to know. So there is the layout done digitally from Creative Memories. And I did it using the Wanderlust collection, just to kind of show what it's going to look like. And here are the 2 bound pages for it as soon as my computer will show it. So this is what it looks like. It's a fun layout. You can definitely do a lot more with adding some shadows and adding some additional embellishments and things. Lots of things you could do with it, but I really just wanted to give everybody an idea of how to do it. And I'm going to also show the other layout that I did with it while we were actually on video doing the traditional layout. So I did this with another collection. This was Forever's winning combinations for January. And I decided to do it with these papers just to do it a little bit differently. So I haven't rotated things. I haven't added any embellishments or pictures, but this should give you an idea of how to do this Creative Memories project recipe digitally using Artisan. So if you have any questions, be sure to comment on the video. Hope you enjoyed that. and look forward to sharing some more creations with you in the future. Take care and have a good night.